Pollyanna. Pollyanna, a 10-year-old girl with golden hair and a smile, radiated joy all around her. But she had lost her parents and was completely alone. So, she was taken to an orphanage. This orphanage was her sole home. After some time passed, her affluent aunt agreed to look after her. Pollyanna was surprised to see that her new home was a mansion, rather than a dwelling.
Nancy, move the girls' belongings upstairs to the attic.
Thank you for taking me in.
Yes. It seemed that I had no option in this situation. Now swiftly follow Nancy to your room, and don't get lost.
It's lovely.
Is it?
Yes, take in the entire space. And do you see? This lovely window overlooks the courtyard. Aunt gave me the greatest room in the house.
That is one way of looking at things. There isn't much to do here, except try to keep out of your aunt's way. Dinner will be served exactly at 6 p.m. If you are even a moment late, you will be punished. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mom. What a gorgeous home I have. Mommy and Daddy, you would adore it here.
It's already 6:02 p.m. Pollyanna, where are you? Pollyanna! Pollyanna! Dinner began around 5 minutes ago. When your aunt gets hold of you, you will be in big trouble.
I apologize. I've lost count of time. Everything is very wonderful here.
You're late!
I was admiring the gorgeous flowers and clouds. Did you notice that it is a beautiful day outside?
I don't care. We have rules here.
Pollyanna disregarded her aunt's pessimism and sat down to eat her lunch. Pollyanna enjoyed every piece, but her aunt was too upset to eat. She brought her to her attic bedroom and locked her inside.
Stay here till tomorrow morning. Take the time to learn proper etiquette.
Her aunt shut the door, leaving Pollyanna in her bed. Pollyanna first felt upset.
Oh, Mommy! Oh, Dad! I miss you so much! Aunt does not comprehend how much the world has to give. She only sees the worst parts. I wish you were here to aid me.
Pollyanna saw and moved over to peer outside. It was a lovely evening. Pollyanna looked outside her window and saw the full moon and stars shining on the flowers in the courtyard.
Wow! It's fantastic! Exactly like a picture. It's just what I needed. Thank you, Mommy and Daddy. Even though I am trapped in my room, I can still appreciate the night sky, something I would not have been able to do otherwise. I'll attempt to show my aunt that it's all right to be cheerful and appreciate the positive in life. I'll teach her the glad game.
The next morning, once Nancy had opened Pollyanna's chamber, the two walked to the village for a few supplies. Pollyanna enjoyed gazing at the various storefronts and waving at people, but there was one individual in particular who stood out to her the most. He stood on the street, scowling, and without saying anything to anyone. Pollyanna rants right up to him.
I am Pollyanna. What is your name?
Mr. Pendleton.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Pendleton. Isn't it a lovely day for shopping?
Sure.
Pollyanna, let's leave this man alone. I'm sorry, sir.
Until we meet again, Mr. Pendleton.
They proceeded to shop. Pollyanna encountered Jimmy, a small child, outside a toy shop. He offered to let Pollyanna play with his ball, and they quickly became friends. Pollyanna came upon a tiny kitten on the street while walking home with Nancy. It appeared forlorn and alone, so she grabbed it up.
I can see that this tiny kitten needs a home.
Pollyanna, I don't believe your aunt will enjoy it.
We must show kindness to those in need.
Back at home, Pollyanna showed her aunt to the new cat.
Her name is Daisy.
We do not let stray animals inside our house. Disgusting.
But she's lonely and hungry. I'll put her in the attic so she can see the birds outside the window and bask in the sunlight. You won't even realize she's here.
Every week, Nancy would go shopping with Pollyanna in the village. She played with Jimmy as often as possible, and the two became closest friends. Pollyanna initially introduced the Glad game to Jimmy.
The Glad game is simple. What are you sad about? My mommy has prepared the same supper every night this week. I'm sad that we won't be able to try anything new. Here's how to play. Take a time to envision something far worse. Like not having any food at all. Exactly! Imagine you didn't have any food. Even if it is the same meal, at least you are eating. You're never hungry. You are correct. I feel better.
Jimmy and Pollyanna enjoyed the Glad game. Pollyanna would spend the next 2 weeks teaching the Glad game to the rest of the village's residents. Everyone was in awe of her optimism. One afternoon, Pollyanna decided to bring Jimmy home to meet her aunt.
Aunt, this is Jimmy. It's good to meet you.
Pollyanna, what did I warn you about bringing home strays?
But I'm not a stray.
Jimmy was very offended by Pollyanna's aunt's statements. He stormed out of the home, weeping.
Jimmy, wait!
Pollyanna rushed after Jimmy. He glanced both ways before crossing the street. In her rush, Pollyanna failed to look both ways. She hurried after Jimmy, and then something dreadful occurred. Pollyanna spent an extended period of time in the hospital following the accident. Pollyanna maintained a stance even as she lay in bed. She showed the nurse and physicians how to play the Glad game, and they all grinned and laughed. The only person who did not know how to play was her aunt.
Pollyanna, how do you maintain such a cheerful attitude?
It's the Glad game.
I have never heard of it.
I can teach you.
Mr. Pendleton had heard about Pollyanna's injury and came to the hospital as soon as possible. Over the following 2 weeks, he would sit next to Pollyanna's bed, beside her aunt and Nancy. He and Pollyanna chatted about everything and were good friends. One day, he told Pollyanna a secret.
I used to know your mother.
Really?
Yes, I can see so much of her in you.
That's wonderful!
I have more money than I could possibly need. Do you want to come live with me? I can take care of you. We can train you to walk again.
Oh, wow! I don't believe I could ever leave my aunt. But I think I know someone else who could really use your assistance.
Mr. Pendleton left for the day, promising to catch up with Pollyanna again. Pollyanna told her aunt about Mr. Pendleton's proposal, and Aunt and Nancy shed tears of joy that she would not abandon them.
I understand now, Pollyanna. You are a beam of brightness in a world full of clouds and rain. I will never let you go.
We all love you. Thank you for demonstrating how to discover the beauty in life.
We enjoy every time we spend with you.
Mr. Pendleton used his money to pay for professional physicians to help Pollyanna walk again. After months of practice, Pollyanna returned home with her aunt and Nancy. Mr. Pendleton met Jimmy and, owing to Pollyanna, decided to hire him as an assistant. Jimmy learned a lot from Mr. Pendleton and was able to provide more money for his family.
Dear Mommy and Daddy, I miss you every day. Ant has now learned to appreciate the beauty of life. Jimmy and Mr. Pendleton are happy together, and I can now walk again. Daisy Kitten is the sweetest pet in the world, and I am overjoyed. I owe it all to you for instilling in me positivism and elegance. If I hadn't lost my ability to walk, I wouldn't have realized how much of a blessing it is to be able to move around independently. With genuine love, your daughter, Pollyanna.
The end. The Magical Kitty. Once upon a time, there lived a queen who had a magical yet beautiful cat named Kisa, which she was very fond of. One day the queen said, "Oh, Pussy, you are happier than I am, for you have parents like us, but I have nobody of my own."
Don't cry. I will see what can be done.
Kisa was as good as her word. As soon as she returned from the forest to consult a fairy who lived there, the queen had a baby girl. The queen was delighted, and soon the baby began to take notice of the cat as she jumped about the room and would not go to sleep at all unless the cat lay beside her. One evening, when the nurse came to look for the cat to put her in the baby's cot, she was nowhere to be found. There was a hunt for the cat, but it was of no use. The cat had run away, and nobody could tell where she had gone. Years passed, and one day, when the princess was a young girl and playing ball in the garden, she happened to throw it farther than usual, and it fell into a bush. The princess ran after it, and she stopped in front of the long grass. Then she heard a voice.
Ingebjorg, Ingebjorg, have you forgotten me? I am Kisa, your sister. But I never had a sister. Don't you remember how I always slept in your cot beside you? Well, why did you go away then?
But before Kisa could answer, Ingebjorg's attendants arrived breathless on the scene, and Kisa went back to the forest. The princess was very much vexed with her attendants and told everything to the queen. Yes, it is quite true what Kisa said. I should have liked to see her again. The next morning, it was very hot, and the princess declared that she must go into the forest where it was cool because of big shady trees. As usual, her attendants also came with her, and while sitting beside the stream, her attendants fell asleep. The princess saw this, and she walked on, expecting to see some fairies or little brown elves. But instead, she met a horrible giant.
Oh, I was searching for a servant and found you now. If you don't want to die, come, follow me.
The princess felt very afraid, but as there was no use in disobeying the giant, she walked quietly behind. They went a long way, and Ingebjorg grew very tired and at length began to cry. Then, turning around, the giant said,
I don't like servants who make nasty noises. If you want to cry, I will give you something to cry about.
And drawing an axe from his belt, he cut her precious anklet from her feet, which was entirely made up of gold and garnished with precious stones, and put it in his pocket. Then he went away, leaving her alone. Poor Ingebjorg sits on the grass. The sun was still high in the heavens when she heard the sound of wheels.
Somebody please help me! I'm coming!
And in another moment, a cart made its way through the trees, driven by Kisa, who used her tail as a whip. Kisa saw Ingebjorg sitting there. She jumped down and took Ingebjorg back to her little hut. When they finally got there, Ingebjorg was exhausted and eagerly drank some milk, and then sank back on the cushions.
You will go to sleep now. I will come back in a little while.
Then, Kisa got into the cart, drove straight to the giant's cave. Leaving her cart behind some trees, Kisa crept gently up to the open door and listened to what the giant was mumbling about while he was eating supper.
Now that silly princess will learn to not cry without a reason.
And he was so busy calling Ingebjorg all sorts of names for her bad behavior that he didn't notice that Kisa was emptying a whole bag of salt into his big bowl of soup, and in a big gulp, drank that soup and cried.
What is this? How did it become so salty? If I don't get some water, I'm gonna die.
And rushing out of the cave, he ran down towards the river. Then Kisa entered the hut and found Ingebjorg's anklet, and putting it in her cart, drove back again. Ingebjorg was thankful to her. Kisa came in, holding up the princess's precious anklet.
Oh, thank you, Kisa. This anklet is very dear to me, and you found it. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, I will deliver you to your home again.
And so she did. And when Kisa drove the cart up to the palace gate, and the king and queen saw their lost daughter sitting beside her, they asked Kisa what she wished for a reward.
We will talk about that later.
She made her best bow and turned back. The princess was very unhappy when Kisa left her. She would neither eat nor drink.
If this goes on, our daughter will die.
Is there anything we haven't tried yet?
Well, we haven't tried marriage. Let's try marrying her to someone, and maybe that will cheer her up.
What about just getting another cat?
No. Marriage. Trust me.
And soon, the king invited all the princes from neighboring kingdoms and made the princess choose a husband from among them. At last, she fixed upon a young prince. The king and the queen were greatly pleased, and they gave orders that a splendid feast should be prepared. When the marriage was over, Kisa suddenly appeared.
I have come to claim my reward. Let me sleep for this night at the foot of the princess's bed. Is that all? It is enough.
And when the morning dawned, it was no cat that lay at the foot of the princess' bed, but another beautiful princess.
I was enchanted by a spiteful fairy. I could not free myself till I had done some kind deed.
Then they were all the more delighted, and Princess Kisa also married another prince and went away to govern one of her kingdoms. The end. Princess. A long time ago, on a stormy day in the palace of Maharaja of Maharashtra, a little princess called Garima was born. To express their unbridled happiness, the king and queen distributed gold, silver, gems, and pearls to the people in their kingdom. Time passed by, and Garima turned 6 years old. One day, she made a strange demand to her mother.
Mother, I want you to bring me the moon and stars.
Oh, my dear Garima, have you lost your mind? How is it possible for anyone to pluck the stars from the sky? The king came out of his room just then.
Don't you fret, my darling. You want the stars? I'll send my minister right now to get them for you.
At the king's command, the minister goes and fetches some paper stars. After receiving them, Princess Garima is thrilled beyond measure.
Thank you, Father. You are the best. You never let me down.
My king, your pampering has spoiled her. God knows how she will turn out to be in the future.
That's not the case. The older she grows, the more mature she will turn out to be.
Finally, the day arrived when the princess turned 16, and yet there was no noticeable change in her attitude or habits. She continued to lash out at the maids and insult them. She treated them as if they were inhuman. One day, a maid came to Garima's room with a bowl of kheer, a milky dessert.
Long live the princess. The queen has sent this kheer for you. She has asked you to consume it while it is still warm.
All right, put it down and leave. I'll eat it in a while.
Forgive my insolence, but the queen has specifically asked
asked you to eat it now.
Garima gets offended and throws the key straight at the maid's face.
Who on earth are you to tell me what to do? Get out of here.
On hearing the loud commotion, the king and queen enter Garima's room and understand the scenario.
What is this obnoxious behavior, Garima? Is this how you treat the maid?
Exactly, Mother. She is a maid. She can't talk to me in a raised voice.
Listen to me, my princess. Calm down. This maid will now be shown the way to the door.
Bravo, my king. What a great way to teach her right from wrong. If fathers ever were tolerated such indespicable behavior from their daughters, the future of womankind doesn't have any hope left. Oh, come on, Mother. Stop being so preachy. Do me a favor and get this maid out of my sight.
After this altercation, Garima storms out of the palace in her carriage to let off some steam. There is a rumbling in the sky, and within minutes, thunder and lightning bring forth a heavy storm. The kingdom is caught in a deluge, and the rivers start flooding. The whole kingdom gets battered by this storm. The kingdom is in bad shape because of the storm. I really hope Garima is safe right now.
I hope so too. My poor baby must be stuck somewhere. I'm getting very worried. Ministers, go quickly and search for my princess.
Yes, my king. Soldiers, get ready. We have to go find the princess.
When the storm subsides, the minister sets out with the soldiers to hunt for Princess Garima. Even after 2 days, the princess is nowhere to be found. Unsuccessful in their mission, they make their way back to the palace.
You came back, Minister. Where's my daughter Garima? Is she still upset with us?
Forgive me, my queen. We have been unsuccessful in tracing the princess.
What do you mean? You couldn't complete a simple task? You don't deserve to be my minister.
I will accept whatever punishment you think I deserve, but the plain truth is that the princess is not to be found anywhere. I wonder if she is alive at all. A lot of people have all died because of the floods. Their faces are unidentifiable because of the swollen bodies.
After hearing this, the queen faints and falls down. The king starts crying unconsolably. Princess Garima gets swept away in the floods, and the river carries her to the village where her former maid resides, the same one she insulted so terribly.
Why is a crowd gathered near the banks of the river? Let me go and see as well.
On spotting Princess Garima, the maid instantly recognizes her.
Princess, it's me, your maid. Open your eyes, Princess.
Do you recognize her?
Yes, it's our Princess Garima. It looks like she has been swept away in the floods and landed up here. But why is she not talking?
She seems to have passed out. Once the water is extracted out of her body, she'll come to her senses. Take her to your house.
I surely will. Please help me to transport her to my house.
The villagers help to transfer the princess to the maid's house. The maid goes to call the local doctor.
Doctor, please come quickly with me. Our princess is lying unconscious at my house. You have to make her okay no matter what.
Yes, my child. I'm coming with you. Let me grab my medicine.
The doctor accompanies the maid to her house and extracts the water from the body of the princess. He also makes the princess consume a plant extract.
Don't worry. She will regain consciousness in some time. While we wait, could I have a cup of tea, please? I'll take my leave after that.
Yes, of course, Doctor.
The maid hands the doctor a cup of tea.
Can I say something?
Yes, Doctor.
You have a golden opportunity here. You can demand as much money as you wish for from the king and the queen. After all, you have saved their darling princess.
How can you say something like that? Bite the hand that feeds you. I could never do something like that. Now, if you're done, please leave.
The princess comes to her senses and overhears the conversation. She is consumed by regret.
What have I done? I've committed a sin by degrading such an honest and sincere girl.
The maid turns out to find the princess standing up.
Long live the princess! I'm so happy to see that you have recovered now. Please forgive me. I behaved very rudely with you. I put you down. You have saved my life. I can never repay this favor. I merely performed my duty, Princess. The king and queen have always been kind to me. Please don't worry about anything. You need to eat food, have your medicines, and rest for a while. You really need the rest.
The maid cooked and offered all sorts of food to Garima.
What yummy food, just like the food cooked by our royal chefs.
After her meals and medicines, Princess Garima proceeds to rest. The following day, the maid's neighbor visits her house.
I saw you at the jeweler shop yesterday. Buying some jewelry, are we? How can I afford any jewelry? After I was fired from the royal palace, I have not been able to source even 2 meals in a day. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Not really. I did go to the jeweler's shop, but not to buy any jewelry. I had gone to sell my earrings. But what dire need made you sell them? Actually, I needed the money to buy food for the princess. She's not used to regular boring foods like us. I decided to offer her a variety of dishes. Oh, so that's what it is.
Princess Garima overheard this conversation as well. Meanwhile, the king and queen arrive at the maid's house, accompanied by the doctor.
You have invited death by kidnapping our princess. Where are you hiding? Show your face.
The maid and the princess come outside on hearing the king's voice.
Father, you are here. We are ecstatic to see you alive. Thank God the maid has not harmed you in any way. My queen, how can I ever harm our own princess?
Be quiet. If the doctor hadn't given us this news in exchange for a reward, we wouldn't have had a clue about the whereabouts of our only child.
Calm down, father. The doctor is greedy and not worthy of the praise you have been showering on him. In spite of tempting her, this honest maid did not waver. Not only that, she sold her own jewelry to arrange food for me. Is that the truth, my child? Yes, it is the truth. The only one guilty is this doctor. Today, I am truly regretful that I was born a princess. I should have been born in a hut. This is where real moral values exist, among the poor, not in a palace.
Forgive me, my child. We are the real ones to blame. Soldiers, arrest the doctor and throw him into the dungeon. I ask for your mercy, my king. I was blinded by greed. Mercy!
The doctor gets arrested.
Mother, father, the maid will no longer live here in this hut. She will live in the palace with us, just like a family member. As you wish, my dear daughter. It will allow us to express our repentance as well.
The 4 of them lived happily in the palace for a long time to come. The end. The Glowing Princess. A long time ago, there lived a king who fell very ill because of an evil spell. According to the spell, there was only one thing that could save him, and that was the dirt from a rabbit hole that was at least 10 years old. As you might guess, this was a tough spell to break.
I shall go to the end of the world to find it.
The prince set out into the forest to find a rabbit's hole. He rode along, but no rabbit could be seen, until suddenly one rabbit shot across his path. Rabbit entered a cave, and so did the prince. A cave that belonged to an evil giant.
Now, who do we have here? A prince it is. How dare you enter my cave? I need the soil from a rabbit's hole. Please let me get that. My father's life depends on it, and then I'll be out of your way. Am I a fool to let you go? You're going nowhere.
The giant put the prince into a cage.
Let me go! Let me go, please!
For 2 days, the prince stayed in the cage. He tried his best to get out, but he couldn't. He was sick with worry about his dear father. On the second night, the cage was suddenly opened. The prince winced at a strange light, and he saw a maiden. The most glowing lady there ever could have been in the entire world.
I am the rabbit you followed the other day. The giant has enchanted me such that I become a rabbit by day and regain my true form of a princess at night. Quick! The giant is out. Run away before he comes back and takes this earth from a 10-year-old rabbit's hole for your father. Go now!
Could you repeat that a little bit slower? Giant is out. You want me to run away before he comes back,
Yes.
and you want me to take some of your dirt.
Right about now would be good, yeah?
Are you 10?
Yes.
As a rabbit, are you 10?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Give me your dirt.
There you go.
Pile it on. A little bit more. Oh, and, is there anything I can do to help you? Do you want to just stay here and be a rabbit, or?
No, I'm good. Yes, of course I'd like some help.
Okay, what can I do to help you?
Escape from here now, and then when your father is well, go out and wander into the world. You will find a way to help me. Now leave!
Those are pretty vague directions, but I'm a good wanderer. Okay, see ya somewhere.
Bye!
The prince did as he was told. He went into the palace and saved his father's life. And then, as the princess had said, he decided to wander around the world.
Father, now that you're well, I got a neat story to tell you. You know that dirt that I made you eat before you got well? I got that from a rabbit. Not just any rabbit. This rabbit was actually a princess. Cursed to be a rabbit at sometimes during the day. Anyway, skip forward. I'm supposed to leave you and go wander aimlessly around the world until I find her, and that's all she told me. But I'll figure it out from there. Love you, Dad. Glad you're well. There's some dirt in the fridge. My son, I understand. More or less. Thank you for the dirt. The rabbit princess saved my life. You have to go do whatever you need to do to help her. Got it. Okay. So, thanks. Also, I think I'm gonna do this as, like, a regular peasant man and see what trade I can learn while I go. I don't know how long this wandering thing is gonna take. I might as well get some sort of occupational education. Very well. All the best, son. Good luck.
So the prince left the palace as an ordinary youth. He wandered far when one night he met a fisherman at an inn.
Hey, young man. I haven't seen you around here before. Are you new? Yes, I'm looking to learn how to trade. Learn a trade. I would like to learn your trade. Then why don't you follow me? I could use some help with some strong hands like yours. Care to become a fisherman? Yes.
So the prince went with the fisherman and learned the trade of fishing. After a few days, when work was over, the fisherman said,
This net was given to me by a wizard. No one could escape from this net. Take it with you as payment. Thank you so much.
And so the prince moved on. When he was hungry, he fished. When he needed money, he sold fish. And he reached a new kingdom, the palace of which shone with 1,000 bright lights at night. He asked someone passing by about it.
My man, I'm new here. Please tell me, why is this palace decorated?
Oh, the palace is decorated every night. The king, as a proud father, celebrates the beauty of our princess, and the king challenges the lady who glows more than his daughter.
Why such an emphasis on beauty?
It's just the pride of a father.
Oh, okay.
The prince went to the king's court.
Your Highness, I know of a maiden like glowing, sunny things. I saw a girl. She's pretty and bright. She's like the sunlight of the sun itself. I'm sorry, I really didn't think this through before I came. Your Highness, I know of a maiden as glowing like the sun itself. Fisherman, I give you a week. Bring her here. Yes, very well.
So the prince went back to the forest and found his way to the giant's cave. He entered the cave. They had a huge fight. He captured him in his net, and the giant was imprisoned. The prince held the princess, and both came out of the cave. The prince told the princess all about the king and his daughter.
So now that I've rescued you, we need to go on this mission to help out this other princess. She's tired of her dad bragging on and on about her beauty. The whole palace is decorated. You gotta come see it. What do you say?
Okay, yes, I understand. Sounds good. Let's do it.
Road trip.
Alright, so how do we get the enchantment, the giant's spell curse thingy on you about the rabbit stuff to be broken forever? We gotta get that taken care of.
Yeah, sure. So it can be broken if I walk through a mist of gold.
As a woman or as a rabbit?
I don't know. We'll just have to try both. How much time do you have? So they traveled to the kingdom.
Where is the maid that you said is more beautiful than my daughter? Your Highness, to reveal her, I need a good amount of gold mist from your treasury. Do you have, like, one of those little misty bottles?
The king was very desperate to see the glowing princess, so he ordered.
Get him a bowl of gold dust. The dust must be put into pipes to be blown into the air so it rises like a golden mist. It's part of the presentation of the most beautiful princess in the world. Your Highness, he's wasting our time and your gold dust. If he's wasting our time, he shall pay for it.
So the gold dust was filled into pipes, and guards blew it so that the dust rose like a thick golden mist. Then the princess arrived. She walked out from the golden mist. Her enchantment was finally broken, and the entire court sat mesmerized by her immense beauty.
My lady, you are indeed the most glowing woman in the world.
See, Father? Now please, stop bragging about my beauty to everyone.
I am sorry, my dear.
The prince told the king everything. The king arranged for them to go back to the prince's kingdom, where they were married and lived happily ever after. The giant never bothered them again, but they were careful to never venture near his cave. The end. The Magical Wishing Pond. Once upon a time, there was a little princess named Jasmine. She was her father's only child, and she was spoiled. She was very stubborn and very selfish. She was always hungry for delicious food. One day, a magician visited the king to give him blessings and to warn him about a magical wishing pond within his dynasty.
O king, I came here to give you an ominous warning. About a wishing pond in your state, which is...
At the same time, little Jasmine was passing by the courtroom, and she saw the magician talking to her father. She got excited when she heard about the magical wishing pond. As soon as she heard about a magical wishing pond, she ran to her room without staying to listen to the magician's full sentence.
I must go to the magical wishing pond to ask for delicious food.
The next day morning, Jasmine hurriedly got ready and started her journey towards the pond. At noon, she reached it with few gold coins in her pocket. She wanted to wish for many things, like a delicious cake, ice cream, hamburger, pizza, crispy turkey, chocolates, cookies, and many more. But when she read the warning sign at the pond, she was disappointed. It said, 1 wish per person.
Magic pond, give me a wish. Grant me a food pot, which will give me a treat.
Suddenly, a magical pot came up from the pond, following a whisper. Here is your wish. What you ask for. Follow my instructions, or it will work not. You have to say 3 magical words. Ting, tong, twang. Then the magical pot will begin making delicious food. It will fulfill your hungriest desires. But do not forget to say stop, pot, stop, or else it will make food non-stop.
Okay, whatever.
Jasmine came back to her palace. She was very curious about the magical pot and mumbled the magical words.
Ting tong twain, I want chocolate cake and cocoa pudding.
Magically, the pot started making a fountain of chocolate pudding and cake. Jasmine dove in, and ate as though she were starving. Days and days passed as she asked for her every kind of food she could think of. She started to gain lots of weight. One day, King visited her. He saw a fat kid eating a chicken leg, and he came near. He didn't realize it was his daughter until he came closer. He was surprised and said,
Oh, my dear princess, what have you done to yourself?
Father, I visited a magical wishing pond a few days earlier and asked for a magic food pot. Now, for the last few days, I've been making wishes for food, and last night I forgot the magical words to stop the pot.
The king realized how selfish and greedy she was, and he held the crying princess in his arms and said,
Dear princess, you never listen to anyone. I know you heard that magician talk about the magical wishing pond, but you must not have listened to everything he said. Oh, King, I came here to give you an ominous warning. Ooh. A wishing pond in your state, which grants wishes, but those wishes always come with a consequence. It is an evil magical pond. I suggest you destroy it as soon as possible. Now you know, my dear princess, why this is happening.
Then the king summoned his guards and ordered,
Pick up that pot and burn it in the fire.
Immediately, guards followed the instructions, and they put the pot in the burning stove and watched till it melted and turned to ashes. Afterward, the princess started to do daily exercise, and soon she came into her original shape. After that, they lived happily forever. Moral of the story: never act on half-heard stories. The end. Mangita and Larina. Once upon a time, in the lake town of Montreal, there lived a fisherman with his 2 daughters, Mangita and Larina. Mangita was the older daughter and was very kind and loving to everyone, but Larina was very rude. Mangita did all the homework, while Larina never helped her sister and cared less about her father. She was sitting near the lake and looking at her reflection and thinking, Am I not the most beautiful girl in the town? One day, the fisherman fell very ill and died. Mangita was devastated. She cried and wept for hours, but soon realized that the responsibility of her family now rested on her shoulders. Sister, I am here to talk to you about something important.
Oh, go away. Can't you see I am busy?
Well, I won't take much of your time.
Oh? What is it?
Well, since Father is not with us anymore, we don't have anyone to make any money. So, I have decided to go sell fish in the market every day. I don't know if it will be enough, but I will try my best.
Okay, whatever.
You don't have to be so unkind to me. You know I love you, right?
Oh, I don't need your love, sister. I was born in the wrong family. My Prince Charming will come. You will see.
Mangita let out a sigh. Oh, I wish all the happiness for you, little sister. Days passed, and Mangita worked very hard to make ends meet for herself and her sister. One day, when she came home with just a few coins, she felt very sad. Larina, I'm sorry, but what I earned is not enough to feed the 2 of us. Would you help me sell the fish tomorrow?
What?
I'm asking you to help me.
You must be out of your mind. I am a future queen. No way.
But
enough. I am going to the lake.
Mangita was very sad. She sat down and started to cry. Lorena stepped out of the house and saw an old lady standing outside.
What do you want, old lady?
Oh, dear child, I'm hungry and thirsty, and have walked for miles. Would you be so kind enough to give me a loaf to eat and a little water to drink?
Do I look like a servant to you? Get out of my way, old lady.
Lorena pushed the old woman out of her way and walked away. Hearing an old woman's cry, Mangita immediately came out of the house and was horrified to see the woman lying on the ground. "Oh, I am so sorry." Mangita helped the old woman stand up and brought her inside the house. The old woman explained to her how Lorena had pushed her. Mangita was shocked. "Oh, I am so sorry, madam. My sister can sometimes be unkind."
Oh, that's all right. You seem to be the kinder one. If you would be kind enough to give me a little to eat and water to drink, I would be on my way.
Mangita nodded and brought her the only bread she had. She also gave her a glass of water. The old woman happily ate the bread and drank the water.
Oh, thank you, my child. You are a kind soul.
The old woman left. Mangita went to sleep without any food that day. A few days later, Mangita fell ill and was too weak to stand. Lorena, as usual, did not care much. "Oh, sister, please go to the market and sell the fish. We have no savings to survive."
I am not going anywhere, I'm telling you, for the last time.
Saying that, Lorena stepped out of the house, and there was the old woman again.
You again?
I heard that Mangita is unwell. I have brought her these seeds. Let me in, so that I can take care of her. She will be fine soon.
But Lorena did not want Mangita to recover, so she lied to the old woman.
Oh, she's quite all right. I'm her sister, and I'm taking good care of her.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Well, okay then. Please, use these to take care of your sister.
Lorena took the bag of seeds from the old woman. Mangita's fever worsened, and all night she could not sleep. Lorena did not even tell her about the seeds and hid the bag under the bed. The next morning, Mangita was sweating a lot. Lorena smiled, and as she was about to leave the house, the old woman entered.
Huh? How dare you enter our house without permission?
The old woman smiled and snapped her fingers. At once, she turned into a handsome-looking man.
I am a prince. Prince Michael. I have mystic powers and am looking for the kindest woman on earth to marry. And I must say, I have finally found the right girl.
Well, of course, my friend. You have no idea how long I have waited. Let's go far away and live happily ever after.
Quiet, you rude brat. I wasn't talking about you.
Huh?
Prince Michael turned his sight towards Mangita and closed his eyes. Golden light surrounded his body. Mangita opened her eyes and felt as if she was never sick. Prince Michael opened his eyes and the golden light vanished. Lorena and Mangita were both surprised. They had no clue what was going on. Prince Michael smiled and then explained everything.
I was out all night watching over you. Your sister did not give you the seeds I left for you. She did not want you to live.
Mangita was devastated to hear this, and she turned towards her sister, heartbroken. My sister? Why?
Oh, please. I don't have time for all this drama. Go away from here with your weird old woman prince. Go!
Tears ran down Mangita's face, but the prince came forward to speak with her.
Do not feel sad for her. She does not deserve your love and kindness. Some people choose to keep bitterness in their hearts, and they'll never change.
My sister will change one day. I know it. The prince proposed to Mangita, and she said yes. Prince Michael snapped his fingers, and the two vanished without a trace. In a grand wedding, Mangita and the prince got married, and the two lived a happy and content life. The end. The Goose Girl. Once upon a time, there was an old queen who had a beautiful daughter. And when the princess grew up, she was betrothed to a prince who lived in a far, far away kingdom. Mother, do I have to do this? Yes, my dear daughter. I gave the prince my word that you would marry him. But I want to stay here with you. I am old, and I will soon be gone. I want you to have a husband who will protect you. I don't want to leave you, Mother, but if you say so, I will go. I don't want you to go alone, so my maidservant, Aisha, is going with you. Is your horse ready? Yes, Mother. We are both ready to go now. Remember that Aisha is loyal to me, and I'm sure that she will tell me everything that happens to you. Yes, I know, Mother. Don't worry. The queen and her daughter went outside of the palace, where the maid and the horses were waiting. Let's go, Aisha.
As you wish, princess.
Goodbye, then. But what the queen did not know was that Aisha was angry inside, and jealous, and greedy. She wanted to be a princess, and didn't like the queen's daughter at all. The princess and the maid mounted their horses and left the palace. After many hours of traveling, the princess was thirsty and said to her maid, Please, Aisha, bring me some water from the stream.
Get it yourself if you're thirsty. Just lie down at the river and drink from it.
The princess was humble. She got off her horse, bent down over the water in the stream, and drank and mounted her horse again. Then the maid said,
From now on, I give the orders and you must obey me. Now, take off your dress and give it to me, and you will wear mine. I am now the princess. Promise me that you will not tell anybody about this, or you will regret it.
I promise. So the maid wore the princess's dress and mounted the princess's horse. The horse seemed to sense that he should be carrying the real princess and didn't quite obey Aisha's orders. But eventually, the two women arrived at the royal palace, where the prince came out to meet them.
Welcome to my palace, dear princess. Who is the girl?
She's my maidservant. She's traveled with me from my kingdom, but I don't like her. Perhaps we can put her to work in your kingdom. She's of no use to me now.
Well, I have a little boy named Conrad who takes care of the geese. I guess we can help him.
Oh, and by the way, please kill my horse.
What? Why? Seems like such a nice horse.
I almost died on the road because of him.
Aisha knew that the princess's horse was actually a magical speaking horse, and that he might tell someone that she was not the princess.
I can't kill your horse, but if you wish, I will put him in the lockup.
Thank you.
Nay.
And the horse was locked in a place where nobody could see him again. The next day, Aisha went to see the princess.
You'll never see your horse again.
Why are you doing this to me?
Keep working, or I'll tell the prince to get rid of you, too.
The maid left, and the princess started crying. Suddenly, an old stableman approached her and said,
Don't worry. I know where your horse is. I will take you to where they keep him.
Oh, thank you, good man. There, Conrad was hiding behind a bush and listened to the whole conversation, and he thought,
This sounds interesting.
I will also be here. Maybe, just maybe, the king will know about this too.
Stableman took the princess to see the horse. Conrad was hiding behind them.
Here we are. Now, you'll have to be careful.
I will. The old man left, and the princess went inside the palace where the horse was. Conrad followed her. As soon as she saw the horse, she said, "Oh, my poor horsey, what have they done to you?"
Well, my princess, you are also suffering. If only your mother knew. Her heart would break.
Conrad was astonished when he saw that the horse could speak.
Oh my, am I crazy? The horse can talk? I must tell the prince, but will he believe me? I don't know. I've got to go think about this.
While he was thinking about this, the princess left. The next morning, everything was normal as usual. The princess started combing her hair, which was like pure gold. Conrad wanted to pluck out a few hairs. "Conrad, stop bothering me. Leave my hair alone."
But your hair is so lovely. Do you want me to braid your hair?
"No, stop it, Conrad."
But I want some of your hair.
"Leave me alone," the princess yelled, and then she spoke to the wind. "Blow, blow, gentle wind, I say. Blow Conrad's little hat away, and make him chase it here and there, until I have braided all my hair." And there came such a violent wind that it blew Conrad's hat far away across country, and he was forced to run after it. When he came back, she had finished combing her hair. Conrad was angry, and he left and went straight to see the prince.
Your Majesty, I don't want to be near that girl again. I'm scared. She is just an innocent girl. How can you be so afraid of her? No, Your Majesty, I think she's a witch. A very bad witch. A witch? You should have told me that in the first place. Come on, tell me everything. Well, see, Your Majesty, the other day I overheard the horse.
Conrad told the king everything he knew about the princess and her horse, and about the way the wind blew his hat.
Go home now, Conrad. I will take care of everything.
The next day the prince hid near the place where Horsey was, and he waited until the princess came to see the horse. "Good morning, my dear Horsey."
Good morning, my dear princess. If only your mother knew what you are going through, her heart would break.
The prince heard the conversation, but he also saw how Conrad bothered the princess, and how the wind blew his hat. Then, without being seen, he went away. Next day, he asked to talk to the girl in the servant clothes, who was the real princess. "My Majesty, do you want to talk with me?"
Yes, please tell me. Is there something bothering you? I mean, I've been watching you, and I know that there's something wrong. You can trust me.
Princess wept bitterly. Then she emptied her whole heart. She told everything. The prince listened carefully and said,
My dear child, I knew there was something wrong with that woman. Your maid, Aisha, deserves to be punished. She will be locked away in jail forever, and I will marry you.
"Oh, King, thank you. But what about my Horsey?"
Don't worry about him. He will be free.
The next day, the wedding was celebrated at the palace. There was a great feast, and the royal couple lived happily ever after. Forever. The end. The Magical Bottle. Abu was a fisherman. He lived near the beach and had been fishing for as long as he could remember. When he was young, he would stay at sea all night. In the morning, he would return with a big catch of fresh fish, which he would sell at the local market. And now, Abu was almost 80 years old, and too old to go out to sea in his boat. So instead, he would throw his net out from the shore 4 times a day. He would eat some of the fish, and the rest he would sell for a little money. One day, he went out to the sea in the morning. He threw his net over the water. After some time, he could feel something heavy trapped in the net. He pulled and pulled and pulled, and it took all his strength to get his net up onto the shore, and found a dead donkey tangled in the net.
Oh no!
he cried.
All this effort for a dead donkey? What will I do? What can I eat?
So he thought about old King Solomon, an ancient king who was known for his wisdom. And then the old man once more cast his net into the water, and soon he could tell he had caught something. This time the net was even heavier. With all his strength again, Abu slowly pulled up the net to shore, and inside was a barrel full of sand.
Oh no!
He cried again.
All of this effort for a barrel full of sand. What will I do? What can I eat?
Again, he thought about King Solomon's great wisdom and decided to persevere. Abu cast his net into the water a third time. This time, something even heavier got trapped in the net. It made a clanging sound like pots and pans banging against each other. And guess what it was? A whole bunch of old pots and pans. They were all rusted and of no use. So Abu looked to the sky and cried out,
Ah! Why do I deserve this? I have only the strength to cast my net 4 times in each day, and I've already done it 3 times. If I cannot catch any fish the 4th time, I'll surely die of hunger today. Why must I capture all of this junk?
With his prayer on his lips, Abu threw the net one last time. This time, something even heavier got trapped in the net. Abu had to wade deep into the water to pull the net out. He saw it was a brass bottle. This time, Abu was happy. Even though he had not caught any fish, the brass bottle looked solid. Perhaps he could sell it for more gold coins and have enough food for the next month. But he saw that the bottle had lead seal on it. And looking closely, Abu realized that the seal was none other than King Solomon's. He was now very curious to know what was inside the bottle. He opened the seal with a knife. As soon as he opened it, a huge magical creature came out from the bottle. It shot out 100 feet into the sky with a huge roar. Abu was so scared he cried out in fear. The creature noticed Abu and shrunk down to just 10 feet so he could talk with Abu.
Fisherman, did you free me?
It thundered.
Me? Yes, magical creature. My name is Abu.
Abu, a fine name.
Said the creature with a smile.
I have been trapped in that bottle for a long time. Thank you, fisherman Abu. Now tell me, how would you like to die?
Die? But, sir, I freed you. Why would you want to kill me?
I was trapped in that bottle by King Solomon, fisherman Abu.
But Solomon ruled this land almost 2,000 years ago.
Yes, 1,800 years ago, to be precise. I rebelled against him, so Solomon defeated me and trapped me in this bottle. Then, he had the bottle thrown into the sea. I have regretted my mistake ever since.
But that means I have freed you from prison. Why do you want to kill me?
For 1,000 years, I wished someone would free me. I pledged that I would give that person enough wealth to last his lifetime, but no one came. Then in anger, I pledged that I would kill the man that would free me. But I would allow that man to choose the way he would die. So, how would you like to die, Fisherman Abu?
Abu thought again of King Solomon's wisdom, and then a clever idea came to him.
Sir, you claim that Solomon trapped you in that bottle? But I don't believe you.
What?
Cried the creature, and his voice boomed like 100 thunders.
You are so tall. Your hands are like the trunk of the tree. There's no way you could have fit inside that tiny bottle. I don't care if I die, but I don't want to be killed by a liar.
You puny fisherman. I may be evil and mean and make stupid promises, but I never lied a lie in my life.
Then prove it.
Said Abu. The creature swished its hands. It turned into smoke and slowly, bit by bit, entered the bottle. And from inside it shouted,
See, I can fit into this bottle.
Abu quickly picked up the lead seal and trapped the creature inside the bottle again. The creature tried his best to come out, but he could not break the seal. Then the creature roared in thunder, but then calmed himself down and said sneakily,
You tricked me. I give up. You're too clever for me, Abu. Now, I wish to get out of this jar, and I pledge I will give the man who freed me his youth back. Good deal, right? Come on, free me, Abu. Your prize is waiting for you.
Abu listened calmly, and with a cunning smile he said,
You think I am a fool? I have lived my life to the fullest, and I don't need anything more than that. I may be old, but not foolish enough to free you again. Now, bye-bye.
No, wait. Let me make another deal for you.
Abu threw the bottle back into the sea and was grateful that his life was saved. The end. The Dragon Slayer. Once upon a time, long, long ago, in a land far, far away, a village small, so very small, had finished their harvest and began to celebrate a celebratory celebration. There was music and there was dancing. A boy named Albert was the strongest and most handsome in the village, and the girls stood in line to dance with him. But late in the evening, a new girl caught his eye.
What's your name?
I am Lucy.
You're not from around here, are you?
No.
Where are you from?
From somewhere else. One of them clearly wasn't too bright, but they danced every dance without resting for the rest of the night, and they fell in love. So maybe it was both of them. But suddenly, there was a loud thundering of horses' hooves outside. I must leave.
No, stay. The music is still playing. Let's dance.
Suddenly, all the doors in the room were kicked open at once, and the king's soldiers rushed toward Albert and Lucy with swords and spears. Then, everyone in the room bowed down.
What's going on?
Take your hands off of my daughter.
The soldiers pulled Albert away from Lucy and threw him to the floor. Then they pointed their swords and spears at his face. Father, please don't hurt him! Albert was confused.
King George is your father?
King George didn't let Lucy answer. He pointed his finger at Albert's nose and shouted,
You stay away from my daughter.
But I want to marry her. Do you think I would let a farmer marry my daughter? Why not? I love her and she loves me. Silly boy. A princess can't marry a common village boy. A princess may only marry a nobleman, or a knight, or a really rich man.
Then King George grabbed Lucy by the arm and pulled her toward the door.
Your Majesty, if I become rich, may I have your daughter's hand in marriage?
King George stopped and turned. He stroked his chin and smiled and said,
I tell you what, there are heaps of gold and jewels in the treasury at the old castle. If you go there and return the crown jewels to me, you may keep the rest of the gold and jewels, and you may marry my daughter.
That's what I'll do then. We'll see.
Then King George and the princess left and rode away. The room was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. All eyes turned toward Albert.
Why is everyone looking at me? Do you realize what you just said? What?
Do you know why King George abandoned the old palace? Why? Because a dragon built his nest there. A dragon? Why would King George send me after the royal treasure if he knew a dragon was living there? Because he doesn't want you to marry his daughter. He wants the dragon to breathe fire upon you.
Albert walked toward the door.
No, I don't care. I love Lucy, and I'm going to do everything I can to marry her, even if it kills me.
Maybe Albert was the one who wasn't too bright, but he sure was determined. The next day, Albert started toward the old palace. Then, he found out that just getting there was not going to be easy. It was 100 miles away, with dangerous, icy rivers along the way.
I must go on, even if I didn't bring winter clothes.
By the time he crawled the snow-covered rivers, he was freezing to death. Yep, Albert's not too bright. As he began crossing the other side of the river, he fell, and his body rolled and rolled and rolled down the riverside. He was knocked out by the fall. He didn't wake up until he rolled into an ice-cold river. When Albert was sure he would drown or freeze to death, the icy river emptied into an even faster-moving river.
Oh no! I've lost the sword I brought to slay the dragon. Now I'll be defenseless against the dragon.
After a few minutes, he was able to swim and stay afloat. He swam to the other side of the river and hauled himself up onto shore water.
Now I can see the high stone wall of the castle.
He also saw patches of the green grass that had been blackened by the fiery breath of the dragon. Suddenly, Albert heard the loud thumping and swishing of the dragon's huge wings.
I must find cover in a hollow log.
The hollow log caught fire, but Albert was unharmed. At least he was getting warm again.
I'll have to wait here until the sounds of the dragon's wings fade away.
Then he crawled out of the hollow log and watched it burn as he thought and thought of a way to get by the dragon and get to the treasure without being burnt to a crisp.
I must find out where the dragon's nest is. Wait, what is that over there? It's the treasury, where King George's treasure is stored.
Next, Albert borrowed a scarecrow from a nearby cornfield. In the darkest part of the night, he sneaked the scarecrow inside the palace and up to the top of the wall opposite the treasury, in plain sight of the dragon.
What's this? A barrel. I will cut the top off the barrel and sneak it up as close to the dragon as possible.
Then he climbed into the barrel and fell asleep. The next morning, he was awakened by the loud thumping. As expected, when the dragon awoke, he thought the scarecrow on the palace wall was a man. He flew toward the scarecrow.
Now that the dragon is not watching me, I will quickly climb out of the barrel and carry it to the treasury.
He carried the barrel inside the treasury just as the scarecrow was burning to a cinder. Then he stepped out of the treasury and shouted,
"Hey, dragon! Over here! Come and get me!"
Hearing that, the dragon turned and flew at top speed toward the treasury as Albert dove out of sight. When the dragon landed and poked his head through the treasury doors, Albert covered the dragon's head with the barrel. When the dragon breathed fire, the barrel directed the fire at the dragon himself, and the dragon burned himself to a crisp.
Ooh, I can't believe that worked. I will return home and ask King George if I can marry Princess Lucy.
He reached the King George's courtroom and signaled his servants to bring in a wooden treasure box. Albert showed the crown jewels to the king.
I slew the dragon, and now I'm a very rich man.
At that moment, Princess Lucy entered the room and hugged Albert.
Thank you for what you did for me.
So even though he wasn't too bright, Albert got to marry the girl he loved, and he got a load of treasure and the old castle too. And they all lived happily ever after. The end.
The Toothless Beast. This story is from ancient times, when humans did not trust dogs and only relied on them for security purposes. Then, when the dog gets older, they have no use for it, and man leaves them alone in the jungle to fend for themselves. A farmer once had a faithful dog called Leonardo, who had grown old and lost all his teeth, so that he could no longer hold on to anything. One day, the farmer was standing with his wife at the front door of their house and said,
Tomorrow I plan on taking old Leonardo out into the jungle, because he's no longer of any use.
His wife, who felt pity for the faithful beast, answered, He has served us so long and been so faithful that I think we should give him what he's earned.
What? You're not very smart. He doesn't have a tooth left in his mouth, so there's not a thief in the world who would be afraid of him. So now he can leave. He has served us well, and for that he has good food to eat.
The poor dog, who was lying stretched out in the sun not far off, had heard everything, and was sorry that tomorrow was to be his last day. He had a good friend, the wolf, and he crept out in the evening into the forest to him, and complained of the fate that awaited him. Said the wolf,
Be of good cheer. I will help you out of your trouble. I have thought of something. Tomorrow, early in the morning, your master is going with his wife to make hay, and they will take their little child with them, for no one will be left behind in the house. During work time, the parents will need to lay the child under the hedge in the shade. You lay yourself there too, just as if you were going to guard the little one. Then I will come out of the woods and carry off the child. You must rush swiftly after me as though you were going to take the child away from me. I'll give you back the child, and you will take it back to its parents, who will think that you have saved it, and will be far too grateful to do you any harm. Rather, you will be in high favor, and they will never let you be in need of anything again.
The plan pleased the dog, and it was carried out just as it was arranged. The father screamed when he saw the wolf running across the field with his child. But when old Leonardo brought the little one back, he was full of joy, and he pet him and said,
Not a hair of yours shall be harmed. You shall eat of my food freely as long as you live.
And to his wife he said,
Go home at once and make old Leonardo some bread sop that he will not have to bite, and bring the pillow out of my bed, and I will give him that to lay upon.
From that day on, old Leonardo was as well off as he could ever wish to be. Soon afterward, the wolf visited him, and was pleased that everything had succeeded so well.
For payment of the favor I did for you, you will turn a blind eye. When I have the chance, I carry off one of your master's fat sheep. Don't count on it. I will remain true to my master. I cannot agree to that.
The wolf thought that the old dog must have been joking about not agreeing with him. So, one night, he came creeping about in the night, and was going to take away the sheep. But the farmer, to whom the faithful Leonardo had told the wolf's plan, caught him, and dressed his hide soundly with the flail. The wolf had to back off, but he cried out to the dog,
Just you wait, you scoundrel! You shall pay for this!
The next morning, the wolf sent the wild boar to challenge the dog to come out into the forest so that they might settle the so-called agreement that the wolf thought was broken. Old Leonardo could find no one to stand by him, but a cat with only 3 legs. As they went out together, the poor cat limped along, and at the same time stretched out her tail into the air in pain. The wolf and his friend were already at the spot appointed, but when they saw their enemy coming, they thought that he was bringing a sword with him, for they mistook the outstretched tail of the cat for a sword. And when the poor cat hopped on its 3 legs,
They could only think every time that it was picking up a stone to throw at them. So they were both afraid. The wild boar crept into the underbrush, and the wolf jumped up a tree. The dog and the cat, when they came up, wondered why there was no one to be seen. The wild boar, however, had not been able to hide altogether, and one of his ears was still visible. While the cat was looking cautiously about, the boar wiggled his ear. The cat, who thought it was a mouse moving, jumped upon it and bit it hard. The boar made a fearful noise and ran away, crying out,
Spare me, please! Please, the wolf is up in the tree!
The dog and the cat looked up and saw the embarrassed wolf, who was ashamed of having shown himself to be afraid, and he made friends again with the old dog. Then the three of them lived happily ever after, till the day when Leonardo passed away, on the loving laps of the farmer and his wife. The end. Little Prince and His Friend. This story begins in the kingdom of Feroznagar. The king and queen of Feroznagar decide to go out for a carriage ride, leaving their 12-year-old son, Angad Kumar, back at the palace. Suddenly, the horse slips, and the king and queen fall off the carriage and unfortunately pass away. The young Prince Angad has to now bear the responsibility of ruling over the kingdom by himself. There is one minister who is not happy about this situation.
Now that the king and queen are no more, the prince is burdened by this huge responsibility. The throne of Prince Angad is nothing but a cover-up. I will actually be the one who will be in charge. I can levy a heavy tax on the citizens of this kingdom and make my own profits.
The chief minister calls a meeting of the other ministers. Prince Angad is crowned the ruler of the kingdom in a ceremony attended by the public. The citizens are happy with this decision. Long live King Angad! Long live King Angad!
Hear, hear, Chief of Security. Gather all the other members of the court. Yes, Chief Minister, you asked us to come? Yes, I did. King Angad is too young to take on any important decisions of his own. Whatever decisions I take will now be considered important and final. That too, without any opposition from anyone else. If you protest, I have the authority to sentence you to death as well.
The other ministers had no choice but to nod their heads and agree. Now, the chief minister summoned King Angad's nanny and caretaker.
Yes, Chief Minister, what is your command?
You have to take special care of King Angad. Make sure he never has any dearth of anything. Also, he should attend the court sessions as little as possible.
The nanny used to take good care of King Angad. She had a 15-year-old son called Vija, who would accompany her at all times. Vija was a good playmate for King Angad. Her son Vija was very sharp and equally caring when it came to King Angad's needs.
How do you manage to be so skilled at fencing? Have you been taught by a professional?
No, my king. I have not been taught by anyone. I have taught myself from observing the guards.
Will you teach me as well?
Yes, why not? I will teach you everything.
Slowly and patiently, Vija taught King Angad everything he knew. Their friendship strengthened over time. The chief minister, on the other hand, used the guise of King Angad's orders to make an announcement.
Hear one, hear all, people of the kingdom. King Angad has ordered you to pay this year's taxes in advance. How can King Angad pass such an order? Our kingdom has been reeling under a drought for 2 years. We don't have any trade. How will we pay taxes now? I have merely conveyed King Angad's orders. Those who do not fulfill it will be sentenced to death.
The people start discussing this issue with each other.
Our former king was so understanding and benevolent. After his death and King Angad's crowning, our woes have multiplied rapidly. Yes, but how is this ever going to work? We need to discuss this with King Angad.
Meanwhile, in the palace, King Angad and Vija are busy with their sporting activity. Vija takes a break and reaches the royal courthouse. He observes the chief minister hitting a local with a stick. He overhears the chief minister talking.
You thought you could come here and meet King Ungod and expose my plans? Are you not aware that he is king just for show? I'm going to be the real ruler of this kingdom. Only me.
The chief minister then gives a command.
Take him away and lock him up.
Vija overhears everything, and he goes and repeats everything to his mother.
Mother, are you aware of what's happening here? The chief minister is committing injustice under the name of King Ungod.
Yes, my son, I'm already aware of this. But what can we possibly do? If we inform King Ungod about this, and the chief minister gets a whiff of it, we will both be sentenced to death.
But Mother, I can't allow this to happen to our people. I will tell King Ungod everything, because I'm his true friend.
Vija and King Ungod are playing inside the palace. Vija pushes King Ungod, and he falls to the ground. King Ungod talks to Vija.
Vija, my dear friend, why did you do that? Why did you push me? See, I've hurt myself now.
I didn't do anything.
You are elder than me, and yet you pushed me. Look, I've hurt myself. This is injustice, isn't it? Vija, what do you mean when you say that injustice is happening with our people?
Vija then goes on to explain all the wrongdoings happening with the people of the kingdom. Then Vija says,
King Ungod, let's disguise ourselves and go out at night to understand the public sentiment.
You are absolutely right. Let's do this tonight.
King Ungod and Vija go out and mingle with the public. A group of people are talking.
How do we go out and meet King Ungod? His whole cabinet of ministers is corrupt. To top that, if you want to meet a minister, even guards demand money. Where do we get so much money from?
King Ungod and Vija start talking to the group of people.
I am King Ungod. Tell me your problems, please. I have come here under disguise only to understand your problems.
All the people talk to King Ungod about their individual problems. King Ungod is shocked after listening to the revelations. He assures the public that things will improve from here on and that he will personally take charge. The next day, King Ungod makes an appearance at court.
Chief Minister, please assemble all the guards.
Yes, my king. Your kingship, what is your command?
King Ungod gives the orders to the other guards.
Guards, thrash these corrupt guards so hard till the skin falls off their bones.
No, don't hurt us. Please don't hurt us. We haven't done anything wrong.
You stopped my public from meeting me. Not only that, you took money from them. You took bribes.
No, my king. We were ordered by the chief minister to do that. If we didn't follow, he would have sentenced us to death. No, King Ungod, I didn't do that. They're making up lies.
Guards, arrest this corrupt minister and beat him up till he grovels in pain.
King Ungod makes an announcement to the public. Everyone is exempt from paying taxes till the monsoon arrives. Vija tells him,
We need to ensure our cabinet consists strictly of honest ministers. Also, we need to start touring our neighboring countries to build better relations. That way, we can avoid wars and conflict.
King Ungod and Vija set off to their neighboring countries with a team of honest ministers. They extend a hand of friendship to the existing rulers. The kingdom is governed in an efficient and transparent manner. The people finally get to lead a peaceful and happy life.
If you
The
enjoyed
end.
this story, please like and subscribe our channel and press the bell icon to get future updates. And don't forget to comment.